The night 9 men went in, and only one came back. Chapter 1. The Message from Italy. By the early 1970s, Frank Lucas had done what no black gangster in America had ever done before. He broke the rules and survived it. New York heroin was no longer controlled by the Italian families alone. The streets whispered one name now: Frank Lucas. Lucas didn't just sell heroin. He controlled it from source to street. Using military connections in Southeast Asia, he bypassed the mafia's supply chain entirely. His product, Blue Magic, was purer, cheaper, and devastatingly effective. The streets loved it. The mafia hated it. For decades, the Italian families lived by one law: no one eats without permission. Frank Lucas didn't ask. Meetings were held in back rooms thick with cigar smoke and resentment. Names were spoken quietly. Respect was demanded loudly. And eventually a decision was made, not in New York, but overseas. Italy. Sicily. The order was simple: erase Frank Lucas. 9 men were selected, not street thugs, not freelancers. These were professional killers, men who had survived wars, vendettas, and blood feuds. Each one hand-picked. Each one sworn to silence. They crossed the Atlantic quietly, carrying fake passports, untraceable weapons, and one final instruction: leave nothing behind. Bring proof. Frank Lucas, meanwhile, sensed the shift. Power has a smell, and danger has a sound. Phones went quiet, meetings were delayed. Faces changed. Lucas didn't panic. He prepared. Because Frank Lucas knew something the mafia underestimated. New York was his territory, and anyone who stepped into it without understanding the rules was already dead. If you're enjoying this story so far, take a moment to subscribe. It helps the channel grow and brings more untold crime history straight to you. Chapter 2. The hunt begins. The 9 men didn't move together. That would have been sloppy. They split into 3 teams, spreading across Harlem, the Bronx, and Queens, watching, listening, mapping Lucas's routines. They learned quickly that Frank Lucas was paranoid for a reason. He never slept in the same place twice in a row. Cars were swapped daily. Routes changed hourly. Lucas trusted very few people, and those he trusted were dangerous. The hitmen realized this wasn't a simple assassination. This was a war zone disguised as a neighborhood. Their first mistake came on day 3. One team followed a man they believed was Lucas's primary driver. They waited until nightfall, cornered him in an alley, and pulled weapons. What they didn't know was that the man was ex-military and loyal. The alley exploded in gunfire. By the time police sirens echoed, 2 Italians were dead. One bleeding out in a stolen car, and Lucas's man vanished into the dark. Frank Lucas got the message immediately. This wasn't intimidation. This was extermination. And Lucas responded the only way he knew how, with precision. He didn't hide. He hunted the hunters. Using informants, street kids, and corrupt cops, Lucas mapped the Italians faster than they mapped him. Every hotel, every bar, every burner phone. One by one, the 9 realized something terrifying. They weren't chasing Frank Lucas anymore. Frank Lucas was chasing them. If you want more deep cinematic crime stories like this, subscribe now. Your support keeps this channel alive. Chapter 3. The Blood Debt. The killings happened quietly. A hitman poisoned in a diner. Another ambushed in a stairwell. One disappeared entirely, no body, no report, just rumors. Fear replaced discipline. The remaining Italians argued. They blamed each other. They questioned the mission. By night 7, only 2 men remained alive. One wanted to abort. The other insisted on finishing the job. That final hitman was different. Older. Calmer. He had survived long enough to understand the truth. Frank Lucas wasn't lucky. He was untouchable, not because he couldn't be killed, but because killing him would ignite a fire no one could control. The survivor requested a meeting. No guns. No threats. Just respect. The meeting took place in a neutral location. No names, no witnesses. The hitman carried a bag. Inside it were proofs. Wallets. Rings. Blood-stained items. 9 men went in. Only one walked out. He placed the bag on the table and spoke quietly. This ends here. Frank Lucas didn't smile. He nodded. The hitman left New York the same night. Never returned. Never spoke of it again. If this story has you hooked, hit subscribe. It helps us continue telling the stories history tried to bury. Chapter 4. The Aftermath and the Myth. The mafia never publicly acknowledged the failure. They didn't have to. The message was loud enough. Frank Lucas became something worse than an enemy. He became a lesson. For years after, no Italian family touched his operation directly. They waited, watched, let time do what bullets couldn't. And time eventually won. Not through assassins, but through betrayal, surveillance, and the law. Frank Lucas would later fall, not to the mafia, but to the system. Still, the legend remained. 9 professional killers sent from Italy. 1 man returned. And Frank Lucas lived to tell the story. In the underworld, that night became folklore, a reminder that power isn't just about fear. It's about control. If you want more true crime stories told with depth and respect, subscribe now. Your support helps this channel grow and keeps these stories alive.